When one of the most famous men on the planet pulled into a gas station at 2:14 in the morning, there was nobody else on the road, not a single car. Just the hum of the highway behind him and the white fluorescent glow of a BP station on the corner of Route 19 and Callaway Road in Valdosta, Georgia. It was a Wednesday night, November 8, 2023. The kind of deep night where the world feels emptied out, and the only things still running are the people who have no choice. Shaquille O'Neal, 7 feet 1 inch tall, 325 pounds, stepped out of a black SUV and ducked under the gas station canopy. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. He was driving back from a speaking engagement in Tallahassee. His driver had called in sick that afternoon. Shaq had decided to drive himself. He did that sometimes. He liked the quiet of it. He pulled the pump handle and started filling the tank. The station was completely empty. One car parked on the side, probably the employees. The road behind him was dark and still. Somewhere in the distance, a truck passed on the interstate, its headlights sweeping briefly across the sky and disappearing. He went inside to pay and get a coffee. The bell above the door rang when he entered. The store was small and bright and smelled of burnt coffee and the plastic packaging of gas station snacks. 3 aisles, a wall of refrigerators along the back, a rotating hot dog machine that had been running long enough that the hot dogs looked like they had given up. Behind the counter, a young woman was sitting on a stool with her back slightly turned. Her elbows on the counter, her face in her hands. She was crying, not softly. The kind of crying that a person has been pushing down for hours and finally stops fighting. Her shoulders moved. Her breath came out in uneven pulls. She had not heard the bell above the door. Shaq stopped walking. He stood in the entrance for a moment. The coffee machine gurgled somewhere to his left. The fluorescent lights hummed above him. He walked to the counter quietly. He set his hands on the edge of it. "Hey," he said softly. The young woman spun around on the stool. She grabbed the counter to steady herself. Her eyes were swollen. Her face was red. She was wearing a green BP uniform shirt, her name tag slightly crooked on her chest. It read Jasmine. She stared at him, at the sheer size of him filling the space between the door and the counter. Then she wiped her face fast with the back of her hand and straightened her name tag. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I'm so sorry." "Welcome in. Can I help you?" "You don't have to apologize," Shaq said. His voice was low and even. "I just want to make sure you're okay." Jasmine opened her mouth. She looked at the counter. She looked at the wall behind him. She shook her head quickly, the way people do when they are deciding to say they are fine, but she did not say she was fine. Instead, she made a sound. Small and involuntary. The sound of someone who has been holding something heavy for a very long time and just lost their grip on it for 1 second. "I don't know," she said. Her voice cracked on the second word. Shaq walked to the coffee station. He poured 2 cups. He brought them both to the counter. He set one in front of her and kept one for himself. "You don't have to tell me anything," he said. "But I'm not in a hurry. And it's 2 in the morning on a Wednesday and there is nobody on this road." Jasmine looked at the coffee cup. She pulled it toward her with both hands. Her name was Jasmine Reeves, 24 years old. She had been working the overnight shift at this BP station for 11 months. Wednesday through Sunday, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. She lived in a 1-bedroom apartment on Baytree Road, 15 minutes from the station. She drove a 2009 Honda Civic with a check engine light that had been on for 4 months because she could not afford to take it in. She was saving to finish her nursing degree. She had completed 2 years at Valdosta State University before her mother got sick and she had to drop out. That was 3 years ago. She had been planning to go back every 6 months since then. Something always came in the way. Her mother, Renee Reeves, 51 years old, had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 2.5 years ago. The disease had moved faster than the doctors predicted. Renee could still walk, but not far. She could still talk, but some days the words came slowly. She lived in the same apartment as Jasmine. Jasmine paid for everything: rent, groceries, medication, the specialist appointments that insurance covered only partially. Jasmine worked the overnight shift because the overnight differential paid an extra $2.40 per hour. $2.40. She had done the math. Over a full year of overnight shifts, It added up to just under $5,000. That $5,000 was the difference between the medication her mother needed and the medication her mother could not have. She had not told her mother any of this. Renee thought Jasmine worked nights because she preferred it, because she liked the quiet. Tonight, 3 hours into her shift, Jasmine had gotten a call from Valdosta State, an automated message about the upcoming semester enrollment period. A reminder that she had outstanding credits toward a degree she had not touched in 3 years. A degree that had been 1 year away when she stopped. She had listened to the automated message twice. Then she had put the phone face down on the counter. Then she had sat on the stool and put her face in her hands, not because she was angry, not because it was unfair, though it was, but because for the first time in a long time she had allowed herself to think about what her life looked like from the outside, and she did not know how to carry that and the counter and the fluorescent lights and the empty road, all at the same time. She told Shaq none of this at first. She told him she was having a hard night. He nodded, he drank his coffee. He asked where she was from. She said Valdosta, born and raised. He said he had passed through 100 times over the years, but never actually stopped. She said most people didn't. They talked like that for a while. Easy things. The kind of conversation that happens between two people who have only the night in common. Then, around 3 a.m., a truck pulled in for fuel and Jasmine stood up and handled it and came back and sat down again. And Shaq asked her what she would be doing if she was not here tonight. She was quiet for a long time. Then she told him about the degree, about her mother, about the $2.40, about the automated message she had listened to twice. She said it plainly, without self-pity, the way someone talks about a situation they have fully accepted even when acceptance costs them something every single day. Shaq listened. He did not interrupt. He did not offer solutions while she was still talking. He just listened. His coffee cup sat empty in front of him. The rotating hot dog machine clicked and turned. The fluorescent lights hummed. When she finished, the station was quiet again. My mother worked nights, Shaq said, in Newark. She did it so I could eat and have shoes for school. She never told me how hard it was. I found out later. Jasmine looked at him. The people who love us most, Shaq said, are usually the ones we protect from the truth the most. And they usually know anyway. Jasmine pressed her lips together. She nodded once. At 4:47 a.m., a delivery truck pulled in and Jasmine went out to manage it. When she came back inside, Shaq was standing at the counter. He had refilled his coffee. He had also put a candy bar on the counter, the kind with caramel and chocolate. He slid it toward her. I used to eat these after every game, he said. Win or lose, she smiled. The first real smile of the night. Small but real. At 5:30 a.m., Shaq said he needed to get back on the road. He paid for his coffee and his gas. He asked for the manager's name. Jasmine said his name was Gerald, and he came in at 7 a.m. Shaq wrote something on the back of his receipt. He folded it and left it on the counter. Give that to Gerald when he comes in, he said. Jasmine looked at the folded receipt. What is it? Just a note, Shaq said. He picked up his coffee. You are going to finish that degree, Jasmine. Not because I said so, because you have already done the harder thing. Finishing is just the last mile. He ducked under the door frame and walked out into the dark parking lot. She watched through the glass as he folded himself into the black SUV. The engine turned over. The headlights came on. He pulled out onto Route 19 and the taillights disappeared into the dark. Jasmine stood at the counter alone. The fluorescent lights hummed. The rotating machine clicked and turned. Outside, the sky was just beginning to go from black to the deep blue that comes before dawn. She picked up the folded receipt. She almost opened it. Then she set it back down. She would give it to Gerald. Gerald Hutchins, 58 years old, the station manager, arrived at 7:03 a.m. Jasmine handed him the receipt without explanation. He unfolded it. He read it. He read it again. He looked at Jasmine. You talked to Shaquille O'Neal for 3 hours last night? Jasmine blinked. I didn't know who he was, she said. I just knew he was very tall. Gerald looked at the receipt again. On the back, in large handwriting, was a phone number and 2 sentences. It said, call this number Monday morning. Ask for Marcus. Tell him Shaq said to make the call. Gerald made a copy of the note on the office printer. He gave Jasmine the original. On Monday morning, Jasmine called the number. A man named Marcus Webb answered. He worked at a foundation that Shaq had been quietly funding for 11 years. The foundation had a program specifically designed for adults who had left college due to family emergencies and needed help returning. Tuition assistance, flexible scheduling, a small monthly stipend for living expenses while enrolled. Jasmine was enrolled in the program. By the end of that week, she returned to Valdosta State in January 2024. She completed her remaining credits in 14 months. She graduated on a Saturday morning in March 2025 in a black robe and a flat cap. Her mother, Renee, sitting in the fourth row in a wheelchair with a yellow carnation pinned to her jacket. When Jasmine walked across the stage to receive her diploma, Renee Reeves pressed both hands together under her chin and closed her eyes. Jasmine did not post about Shaq. She did not make a video. She did not tag anyone. She told the story only once. To a local Valdosta newspaper that ran a small article about returning adult students at Valdosta State. She said one thing that traveled further than the rest of the article. She said, "He stayed." That was the whole thing. It was 2 in the morning and he stayed. Most people don't stay. Jasmine Reeves is a registered nurse at South Georgia Medical Center on North Patterson Street in Valdosta. She works the day shift now. She is home by 4:30 every afternoon. She makes dinner. Her mother sits at the kitchen table and they eat together. The BP station on Route 19 and Callaway Road still runs all night. The fluorescent lights still hum. The rotating machine still clicks and turns. Most people pull in, pay, and pull out without looking at who is behind the counter. But some nights, on the long, empty drives that nobody plans, someone pulls over who is not in a hurry. Someone who remembers what it felt like when nobody stopped. And they stop, because a woman named Lucille O'Neill raised her son to see people, not to look through them, not to look past them, to actually see them. And that is the story of a gas station at 2:14 in the morning, and the girl behind the counter, and the man who stayed until the sun came up. Before you go, drop a comment right now and tell us where you are watching from. Valdosta, Lagos, London, Manila, wherever you are, we want to know. We read every single one. If this moved you even a little, hit that like button right now. 1 second. That is all it takes to help this story reach someone who needs it tonight. Share this with one person. Someone working a night shift somewhere. Someone holding it together in the quiet hours. Because they deserve to know that someone out there stays. And if you are new here, welcome. Subscribe and tap that bell. Stories like this every single week. Now click on the video on your screen. The next one will stop you just as completely. We will see you there.